to the Deep Rooted Podcast. We're Jeff and Rochelle Ferguson. Hey, thank you for listening.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. Please share. Please like, subscribe. Please subscribe. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
We've had a lot of new subscriptions recently, so glad that you're joining us. Hey, check back the last, 60 or so episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where we are, but...
I think we're 66.
Yeah, whatever it is.
So, hey, we made it to 66. We're top 10%.
We're just going to keep going.
Hey.
So, there we go. Hey, we're talking about something today that, frankly, I'm like, you might have to do all the talking because I'm kind of triggered about it.
You're sufficiently triggered, which
so
is good.
That really might, lend itself to having an awesome podcast because you never know what I'll say. Oh, my. I know that about myself. So, hey, so here's the title of the podcast. Stop saying you have only 18 summers left with your kids. And then it's over. Stop saying that.
Yeah. We are in the throes of summer. I mean, really, are we halfway through already?
I don't even know. It's hot. That's what I know.
It's very hot.
It's hot.
And so we're thinking obviously, family vacations. We just went on a bike ride,
with our kids. That wasn't a vacation.
Wasn't a vacation,
Just
but
like
just
a little bike ride down by the Ohio River.
So
good,
kids are home. But it had us thinking about this thing that people do say you only have 18 summers.
In fact, you could just go explore hashtags. Yep. Hashtag 18 summers. Hashtag legacy jar. Hashtag whatever. There's a bunch of them that go with this. And the reality is that we've heard about this a long time ago. If you're sitting here going, what are you guys talking about? We're going to kind of let you fill you in. And then I want to talk about, there's a few things that I think are positive to think about this, but there's some real, I got some issues with thinking this way. And so, I don't know, it was about 15.
Probably about 15 or so years ago.
We were at a conference.
Yes.
And we heard somebody who has kind of came up with this idea. I think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody else came up with it and they just shared it. I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast. But they brought out a jar, and it was kind of like this.
So if you're not watching, this is one reason I want to encourage you to watch.
Yeah, some of you are listening going, what are they doing?
We're holding up a jar, and inside the jar, there's ping pong balls in the jar.
I think there's 18. Okay. Yeah. And this person had marbles in it. Doesn't matter. The whole concept is this. So you have this jar full of marbles or ping pong balls, and you realize that when you have kids, you only have 18 summers to spend with them. And so, it's year one, there they go. Year two, a couple of other summers, there it is. And now they're potty trained, and then you're like, what in the world? Half the balls are out. And then it continues the pattern until you have none left.
I went on the website to kind of read about this. As I read about it, I started experiencing a little bit of anxiety. Because they said, you have approximately 936 weeks from the day a child is born until he or she graduates from high school, and reminding us that the weeks move quickly. And so every week, the balls or the whatever comes out.
Take a marble out, throw it away. You'll never get it back.
And so as I'm listening to this, I remember the first time I listened to this, it was supposed to be encouraging. I was like, oh my goodness. What's...
Yeah, I was like, this is encouraging? Have a visual reminder of time passing?
You have left. And so, as Rochelle showed, with every passing week, with every passing summer, there it goes. It's gone. You can never recover it. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get
my heart rate. Check the heart rate
yes.
on your watch.
Yep.
Okay, so why are we talking about this? Again, we want to be deep rooted.
Yes.
I want to always come back to why do we talk about these things? God's called us. We know our calling.
Yep.
We're called to talk about marriage, family, leadership in the church. And those are really the areas. And that's why we're talking about this. I think this actually coincides with all of those areas.
Yes.
As you're listening to this podcast, man, I think this is depressing.
Yeah, it is. And I will say this, as I think about this, we talk about this, there are some valid points as we approach this. So we're going to talk about...
Well, let's talk about what's maybe... there's some good things if you wanted to think this way for
Yeah.
a little bit. There's some good things about it,
Yeah, I think there's some.
but I
some
think
things,
the overwhelming.
Correct. There's some things on the front end that we'll say, if we're going to look at something, we need to look and say, okay, is there anything that we can take from it? I think some valid things are that, okay, we need to make the most of every opportunity. So as parents,
Bible says that.
making the most of every opportunity. Psalms 90 tells us that God teach us to number our days. I think that's a good thing.
Life is a vapor.
Life. Now that's,
We know.
okay, that's a more depressing thing.
All right, sorry. You're trying to talk about the valid points
Make
that
the
I'm
most
but it's
of
true.
every opportunity. I think to be intentional, you only have one shot at parenting your kids. But I mean, there's one life. We don't have several lives. So I think being
intentional, that's
intentional. I think be urgent about, hey, let's not just we can't sit here and think, well, we have forever.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's be urgent. Let's start today. So I think those are some good things. I think those are some good things to be like to light a fire maybe under some people who are maybe becoming passive parents. So I think I can see some of the positives. In to me, that's sort of where it ends. Because I can understand that being intentional, all this.
Right, but what about parents who are already trying to be intentional? I mean, I kind of feel like if you're watching this podcast, you're going, I'm trying.
Yes.
Trying to serve Christ. I'm trying to model Christ to my kids. I'm trying to, be deep rooted in the scriptures. I just feel like this 18 summers is, wow, I just feel like there's this, maybe it wasn't intended, but a whole lot of unintended consequences of thinking this way that I think are really harmful.
And can I say the last thing parents need in our world today is this sense of fear. We don't need to instill fear in parents in the sense of, well, everything's running out. It's a zero-sum game. You're gonna be done. I think they need more encouragement than fear.
Well, we're in the realm that if we were following this line of thinking, we would have a child that we'd be going, oh, well, we have 5 ping pong balls left. It's over. 5.
So
five is so short.
So for next 5 years, we got to plan some epic family vacations. So because after that, she's gone, right?
Wrong. I just think this thinking creates that kind of fear.
This kind
of fear. I also think it creates a lot of guilt. Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe you have a hard summer one year.
Yeah.
Maybe there's maybe a financial strain one summer. Maybe there's some,
what if
sickness.
there's a death in the family, sickness in the family. What you planned, the summer you planned is not the summer you...
Well, this one, you just crush it. That one didn't work out well.
Yeah, not only toss the marble out, but crush...
Burn it. I don't know,
And so what it can lead you to do is this guilt over, we walked through this tragedy or this unexpected thing that happened, and that was just a waste of a... Can I tell you, there's not wasted time? Unless we choose to be passive. But there's things that happen in our lives that we...
Well, I think I think that there is wasted time. So what I really think is if you are giving something over to Christ, if you're living something for Christ, hard or good.
That's the point.
There can be great things that result from that.
Absolutely.
If we will just give it over to him. Whether it's a good or a bad season.
And that's the catch. You need to give it over to him.
I think here's a big one that I really think is a consequences of thinking this way is holding on to the past. Man, can I just tell you, every season changes. Yeah. And, we don't have any toddlers anymore. And for that, I'm thankful.
I'm kind of sad I'm not stepping on Steph anymore.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that in our house. What I really say is we're just not changing diapers anymore, and that's great.
I'm sad.
We're not sad about that at all. No, but holding on to the past, glorifying the past. I really feel that puts an unhealthy expectation even on your kids. Your kids are not there. Can I repeat this? Your kids are not there to make you whole and to make you feel needed to make you feel important. And I think parents want to hold on to the past because they're needed. Guess what? We're needed from our kids in a different way now. And it'll probably continue to change with every season.
And I want to make a point there. As parents, we will always be needed in our child's life after the 18 summers or the whatever. Discipleship is a lifelong activity.
Yeah, I think that's really if you decide to parent well.
If you decide to parent well.
I don't think you're always going to be needed if you don't if you're not parenting right. Like, do you get what I just said something that
that's the basis that we're talking about. We're coming from this basis of if you're parenting well, if you want to be deep-rooted, if you're parenting according to God's design, then that's a lifelong process.
Yeah, you don't ever clock out of that.
Now, we don't parent the same way once they're married as we do. We understand this. But it's a lifelong discipleship relationship. And so, holding on to the past is a bad thing. It can create a whole lot of problems.
Well, and it tries to keep your kids immature, tries to keep them relying on you. Our goal, remember, come back to goal of being a parent, is to raise them to know Christ on their own and to be able to live this life with a relationship with Christ that isn't based upon them having to go through us as the mediator.
Yeah.
Like, they have a relation. They hear God's voice.
Yes.
They search the scriptures.
Right.
They feed themselves, literally and spiritually. You know, like all of these kind of things. So I think we can hold on to the past and want to keep them dependent.
And what does Jesus say? If you try to hold on to something, what are you going to do?
You're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. Absolutely.
Let go of it for my sake. I mean, so that's in all of life, but especially in parenting. I can't hold on. I have to remember several podcasts ago, we talked about getting ready to launch. They're not ours to keep, they're ours to steward. Okay? And so we can't hold on. That's a faulty premise anyway, parenting premise.
Well, so. I think this thinking, this 18 summer, whatever, ping pong ball thinking, I think it can really reveal that we're maybe unwilling to change and adapt to seasons. So I just don't subscribe to this because I want to know what happens in year 19. So in summer 19, do I not have a relationship with my kids? What about summer number 23? Or summer 25, when maybe they've gone and they found the person that God has for them as a spouse. That, let's say they're married. Do I not get to enjoy spending time with them anymore, or them spending time with me? Us having a relationship.
Yeah, I've heard literally, and this is from a wounded place. I've heard parents say, "I can't wait till they're out of the house because they're no longer." The sentiment there is they're gone. They're out from under. I'm done. I mean, I've heard that before. Now, that comes from a wounded place. I understand that's not good, but I think that's what this thinking can lead to. Like, I'm done.
Right. Well, and I'm still just even trying to reconcile all of that. I don't know. You know, how are we even thinking when I'm just like, what happens? I still don't get it. Like, what's year 19? Like, we don't talk to each other anymore?
Exactly.
Like, the whole point of parenting
is
directing them onto God's path, directing them to learn how to live and things like that. But it's also cultivating a relationship that will change, that will hopefully be a lifelong relationship.
Yes.
And so I just don't understand that. I don't understand how 19 summers and of course it's going to change. I understand there's change that happens. But I feel like that's all kind of life.
Yes.
Like, there was change when they were 5 and then when they're 14. Those are changes. And this is really the other unintended consequences, like this forsaking this lifelong relationship. Like, that is a goal. I mean,
yep. I want our kids to come back to our house. We go to their house.
A lifelong relationship.
Absolutely.
Of course it's different. Of course I'm not, when they're 25, saying, have you cleaned your room up? You know.
We understand there will be a day where we wake up and they're not going to be in the house every day. We understand. That's going to happen. But we also understand that we are intentionally parenting now for a lifelong relationship later. We're not thinking, well, we'll see, we've lost you.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely not.
And I think this is a really dangerous way of thinking. It's a dangerous, I think it can lead to guilt, fear, and honestly, I think it's a poverty type thinking.
Poverty mentality.
I've got to hold on to it. I've got to hold on to it. And I think what you mentioned about the scripture, if you hold on to something so tightly, you're going to lose it. You're going to crush it.
Oh.
Like you're going to crush it. You know, I don't know. I just think let's just make the most of every day. And tomorrow's not promised. You know, the future's not promised, but when we cultivate, when we do the things, the hard things, but the right things, you will reap a harvest if you don't give up. I mean, I build my whole life on that. Like every bit of my life.
Your children, I say this because our kids remember the day in, day out. They remember the everyday. Now, certainly we have the trips and the fun stuff that highlight things, but they remember the day in, day out. Like my kids still remember, hey Dad, remember that day where we were riding our bikes and got stuck in the rain? I mean,
yeah, I do remember that.
I remember
it was pouring.
But I mean, that wasn't necessarily this trip.
We weren't thinking, oh, we got to make most of this ping pong ball.
That
or whatever.
just happened because we were present, we were attentive, we were just riding bikes like we normally do. And so I think that's what this doesn't take into consideration: the every single day of being a parent. And guess what? When we do that well, we get ready for a lifelong relationship, and we don't have to worry how many marbles are left in the thing, because as we're living, hey, we're gonna create a foundation now for a lifelong relationship later. That's what I think, and that's my excitement. I'm not parenting till they're 18. I'm parenting beyond that.
Yeah. So it's just like, why say it?
Yeah.
Why just have to live in this place? I just want to free you. Maybe you're like, I didn't even know I needed to be freed from this thinking. Could I just say, you don't have to be in this constant grip of like fear. Did I do enough? Or guilt. Oh man, that summer was a waste. We didn't get to go on the trip. I think about even like the COVID seasons.
Oh my.
That when like that summer, a whole lot of stuff was weird. Like people weren't going places, and like trips were being canceled, or you'd go places and you couldn't even go anywhere.
You
like
go if you wanted to.
Well, I think we did go away, and then we just like stayed at a place, change of scenery, I guess. But I actually believe our kids are going to remember some of those things. So
yes.
I think we don't need to live in this guilt. I just want to say, be free of that guilt. Be free of that that shame, that way of thinking. Guess what? Just live every day to honor Christ, knowing that every day, when you persevere, when you plant the seed, when you water the seed, when you don't give up, the harvest is coming.
Oh, absolutely. That's a biblical principle we can hold on to. It just is.
And I think also, like, when we're, don't be so, like, I've just seen this. I've just seen people live in regret, and then they try to fit 18 summers into one summer.
Oh, my.
And, it doesn't work. Here's the deal. Just live every day.
Yeah.
Live every day with no regrets. Live every day and trust God with the outcome. I mean, that's all we can do. Live in obedience, walk in his ways, trust him with the outcome.
Oh, that's biblical. We can steward what we have, and we don't have to be fearful in the meantime.
Yeah.
We don't have to be fearful in the meantime. Steward what we have. God, guess what God promises to give us? If we steward what we have well, he's going to give us more.
So stop hashtagging 18
summers.
How about we start hashtagging 100 summers? Like,
yeah.
I don't know that. Like lifetime.
Yeah.
Hashtag lifetime.
Yes.
Hashtag I'm a lifelong mom.
Absolutely.
Like,
I'm a dad, not a babysitter. I don't know. I didn't know what to say.
You're just like trying to find hashtags. Hashtag cool. I don't know. Like, you're just like, let me know. You're like, what hashtag can I throw in here that sounds good?
Maybe I'll try to figure out a better one. Sorry.
Throw your hashtags in the comments.
Yes.
There we go. Well,
yeah. Thank you for joining us. It's been I hope this has encouraged you. Share this with somebody. Hey, share this with somebody. I hope this is freedom for somebody today. But like, share, subscribe, and we will see you right back right here on the next episode of the Deep Rooted Podcast. We will see you then.